right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us, whether or not you're joining us live or watching the replay. We are very grateful to take up your time tonight. I know you're all probably very busy mums like ourselves, so thank you for coming. Hopefully, we will be able to share some valuable gems in a very timely fashion. I know what it's like. So, my name is Nicola. I'm a physiotherapist in Whangamata. I'm an ex-personal trainer, and most importantly, I am a mum to a toddler. So, I'm so grateful to know my friend, Kate Walker, who is a registered nutritionist and also a mum to a primary school child. Oh my goodness, time flies. Goodness me. So we wanted to create something to share our knowledge with you all, and hopefully that you might be able to pick up something along the way. You might learn something new, and that might resonate with you and help you in your journey. So today is the first part of our six-part mini-series, and we talk about sleep, or potentially in most of our cases, lack of it. Also, from a physio perspective, I'll throw in a little bit of information about pain with regard to sleep and things that I might see in the clinic. If you have any questions, absolutely put them in the chat. We'll try to keep an eye on it. If we miss it, please feel free to message either Kate or I on our socials. And yeah, we'll try and sort that out really quickly. So, Kate, we might as well just dive in. Let's get started. So, the
Ye-
first question I have for you tonight, what are some common issues that you would see in your clinic to do with sleep?
Yeah, great. And I was just gonna say, grab your cuppa, get snuggled in. This
Oh,
is a nice little, informal.
totally.
There's no like presentation. There is
Mm.
no like salesy pitch. This is literally just us, as Nikki said, helping you on your journey and yeah, taking some gold nuggets. And if there are some things that you've heard before and you're like, aha, I remember, I know I should be doing that. This is just another one just to like push you in the right direction or get you back on track, or maybe it's completely new information as well. So yeah, Nikki, thanks. What I see quite often with my nutrition clients, I mean, many people come to see me for weight loss, and then we look at sleep, and quite often there is interrupted sleep, and it can be interrupted either by like an outside, so it's normally kids, so kids, pets. You'd be surprised how many times pets wake you up, and I'm like, oh, sometimes the pets. Oh, I dare say we love them, but they can be very disruptive. Partners, so snoring and other disruptions with partners or pain. So we have those sort of things that tend to interrupt their sleep. And then we have, I yeah, see people's self. So a lot of things that I see would be sometimes people feel wired but tired, so they struggle to get to sleep. Once they're asleep, it's generally okay. They sleep through the night, but getting to sleep, that overactive mind syndrome, and I've definitely had that, a few times. I know exactly how that feels. The other thing would be people waking up, they seem to get to sleep okay, but they're waking up at maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, and it's like they're just, pretty alert. They've got like an adrenaline response, and it takes them hours to get back to sleep. And, we know from a health perspective, we've seen it in the research that people who don't get enough sleep, oh, then you've got the Netflixes or the people on their phones that just don't get enough sleep. Like they sleep absolutely perfectly. They get to sleep, they stay asleep, they don't get enough sleep. So it's quantity and then also quality. You've got the quality of the people who are waking up, and then you've got the quantity. Some people just, cutting it short 6 hours. And the research, wow, as we get a little bit older, some people can get away with sort of 6 hours sleep, but really the majority of us, we always want to aim for 7 hours. And most of that research was done on males, preferably women. With the new research done on women, is we want to get up to 9 hours, between 8 and 9 hours. I don't know anybody getting 9 hours, so it's really important that we do get that sleep, because from what I see in a clinic is just, it is the epicenter of people's health and well-being. And, even from a weight loss point of view, if you are not sleeping well, you're a little bit more grumpy, you're a little bit more moody, your behavior changes. So we see that with, oh, I don't want to go to the gym anymore. I'm really tired. Or it's easier to do self-sabotage, like, oh, I'm tired. I won't go to the gym. I won't go for a walk. And then, or, oh, I was planning on doing my meal prep. I just can't be bothered now. I'd rather eat, takeaways or, that sugar, like I'm tired. I want the sugar hit. So that would be, so there's one, those
Mm,
issues.
mm,
And yeah, from that point, oh, and then metabolically. So what we see too, so that's behaviorally, the sleep, and then metabolically, it starts to interrupt how your thyroid functions, how your gut functions, and vice versa. Your gut can, interrupt your sleep. Um, but also, so your thyroid, so once your stress will actually increase. So what we see is poor lack of sleep. And I know we've all experienced this, right? When you have a bad night's sleep, it's like your stress levels go up. You're like, I'm even more angry now, and that's not good if we're really suffering from high cortisol levels. And the so the stress and your insulin resistance. So that is how well your insulin, which is a very important hormone, taking the sugar out of your bloodstream and feeding it to your cells to be used as energy. Okay, that just becomes a little bit more resistant to that job, and then we need to pump out more insulin to do the same job. Now, insulin is actually, well, it's a very important hormone, it is a fat storage hormone. So the more insulin that you have being pumped in because it's not doing the same job, it creates that storage factor. And I used to see this, like now I'm more aware of this, but I used to like pull my hair out as a practitioner, going, "You're eating well, you're exercising pretty good." Like we're just missing a step, and then it really came down to the sleep and the sort of the rest recovery as well. With definitely the sleep just to get that functioning right.
It's such a vicious cycle, eh? Yet sleep is just, it leads to so many factors and then it just becomes such a vicious cycle, but we'll come to that. So, as a nutritionist, then, what kind of dietary factors do you think play a part in lack of sleep or poor quality sleep?
Yeah, great question.
Mm,
I'll keep it to like just a few couple of points, but
mm,
I would say one of the biggest one would be blood sugar regulation. And when I mean this is that quite often we might, so, during the day, if your blood sugar levels look like a roller coaster,
mm,
up and down, it sort of disrupts your sleep wake cycle. Um, it can, and then, so you think if you've got the sort of high, like say if you started the day with, say, um, a sugary muesli, like toasted muesli with fruit yogurt on top and like a glass of orange juice. That is like you know, 10 or 15 teaspoons of sugar in that one meal. Okay, so
mm,
that sugar level is gonna go up pretty high, plus the insulin, okay? You'll have an insulin spike to try and pull that blood sugar quickly out of the bloodstream, which leads to that downward, the down the roller coaster. Now that can take you, if you think that's your baseline, okay, so you've had this peak and then you get this drop actually below the baseline. And
mm,
that's when you get probably a little bit hungry, cranky. And then you're like, a couple of hours later, you were planning on eating a salad for lunch, but now you want McDonald's or, you want something kind of cravey. And then it goes up again. So what you'll find at nighttime, so say if you've had also quite a high carb dinner and more like refined carbs, so maybe just sort of a white pasta, or potatoes. I tend to find sometimes vegetarians because I don't always get a lot of protein at night. But anyway, so if you have a sort of quite a high carb meal at night, you tend to find at that 2 o'clock in the morning, your body goes into a blood sugar dip below the norm. Now your body hates
interesting.
that, and that's when it sends out the adrenaline to be, hey, what's going on here? And quite often that is why people like become awake and then they can't get back to sleep because they've got that adrenaline factor.
I did not know that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, little nugget. So yeah, the
Mm.
roller coaster so basically what I'm saying is low GI foods are
Mm.
super important and making sure that we're getting enough protein at each meal because even
Mm.
things like rice crackers, things that are not necessarily full of sugar, because I have a lot of people go, oh, well, I don't eat lollies or chocolate, or it can still be like, that white bread roll with the jam
Mm.
and the or yeah, honey. I know, kind of like simple things.
Yeah.
Quite often people go, oh, I can't be bothered making lunch, so yeah, I'll just have a piece of toast with some jam on it, and then there you go. Now it does depend on load as well and what your body can function and what I might eat, would be quite different. How my body reacts to the same food could be different for you.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, starting off with so instead of sugary cereal, your bowl of oats with, yogurt, just plain yogurt on top with, some lovely sort of fresh fruit rather than, too much added sugar, and then a nice
Mm.
good man or like eggs for lunch. I mean breakfast, yeah, and then protein for lunch, protein for dinner. So you really want to, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of like healthy carbohydrates full of
Mm.
fiber, but we want to keep it to the portion size. I would say generally like that much because again, sometimes people's portions, right, big rice portion or something can
Yeah.
can blow up a little bit. But so roller coaster, so blood sugar levels very important and how much sugar you might eat during the day. Even if you think you're eating quite healthy, you'd be surprised that kind of,
Yeah.
sugar just sneaks in everywhere.
Yeah.
Caffeine is obviously an issue as well. Again,
Mhm.
that cortisol uh, drive. And so, I think we've all experienced having the caffeine too later in the day, and then, you feel wired but tired, you can't quite sleep. Digestion issues. So now that we've seen a lot of the research on gut and how important it is with producing like producing melatonin. Like we always thought that melatonin was the brain made melatonin.
Mm.
And so this is like the new revelation that actually the gut makes more melatonin than what your brain does. So
It's
although
the
it's
same
very
as
important,
serotonin. Mm.
yeah.
Sorry.
So, your gut
Yeah.
bacteria helps produce serotonin, which is, like a happy hormone.
Mm.
That's what we're used to. It has many roles in the body, but we'll just go with, the happy hormone. So it makes you feel good, which is also very important for sleep, right? Because if
Mm.
you don't have enough serotonin because your gut function's not working well, you're going to feel stressed during the day and you're certainly going to have a few problems, like, going to sleep, especially if you feel like at the end of the day, everybody's annoying you. Your kids are annoying you, husband's annoying you, everything is just annoying you. And so that, then no wonder, like, yeah. And then, the worst thing is people put Netflix on, it's like some sort of crime something, or something a bit too like adrenaline based as
Yeah.
well. People are like, oh, have you seen the latest crime thing? I'm like, no, I don't watch that before I go to bed. But I'm very sensitive to cortisol as well. I don't like, yeah, watching that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm diverting. So, so we've got you're watching blood sugar levels. We've got gut health is really important. So people, again, I see people, the main thing they come to see me for is weight loss. And then it's, all these other little things that unravel. And if you've got dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in bacteria and how your gut functions, it's not, it can stop you making the right amount of serotonin, which is our precursor to melatonin. So
Mm.
if you're not making enough serotonin, you're going to feel a bit shitty too. And you're not producing enough melatonin, which often that's for the people that, struggle to get to sleep.
Mm.
But also it can stop you from going to sleep as well. I mean, sorry, stop you from sleeping the whole night through. So, I mean, gut health is huge. Really want to make sure, again, your whole foods. That is probably the one thing I'll keep coming back to, whole foods. Lots of vegetables. We generally, most people don't get enough vegetables. So if that's one thing I could really push for, the New Zealand recommended guidelines are 7+ a day.
Oh,
And
it's
like
great.
even I sometimes go, oh my gosh, done about three today, So imagine five handfuls of two pieces of fruit, five handfuls of vegetables is what we want to aim for. And that is so crucial for our gut bacteria to, process because the good guys feed on those lovely plant fibers, and many of those, like bananas and garlic and onion, all good like prebiotic foods too. So if you're
Mm.
feeding the gut well, they produce these things called short chain fatty acids, which are just amazing at like helping fix leaky gut. They do numerous things. I could probably do a whole seminar on that, but
I think we
short chain
should.
fatty
Mm.
acids are, yeah, pretty amazing. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and just making sure people are getting enough, especially women, are getting enough protein. I think we tend to be the flustered ones that, oh, I will just eat da 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 or nibble on things and not have a proper. And I'm talking from experience here,
Mm.
and I always have a laugh with my clients too because I'm like, don't worry, I've done that, but it's just pulling you back to, okay, I've done that maybe once in the week and actually need to focus back on my health and go, this is going, if I did this often, that's going to lead me down a bad path. So, yeah, it's just coming back to really help stabilize those blood sugar levels again. And from a protein source, like, we want to iron, B12, there's so many and amino acids, like our tryptophan, and tryptophan is really important to also that's what melatonin can help convert into melatonin. So our amino acids are really important. So sometimes it's not, you know, um, taking out all the bad stuff is one thing, but making sure that we're actually eating enough good things to,
Mm.
like 3 poundfuls of protein per day. So I always say breakfast, lunch, dinner. Even like yogurt can, a nice big Greek yogurt, high
Mm.
protein can be one. Yeah, so protein, wholesome carbohydrates, plants, your vegetables
Mm.
and taking away a lot of the sugars just so we keep you nice and level.
Mm. And
Yeah.
not feeling guilty. If you screw up, I think that's key. Like just starting
Yeah,
again.
you all have
Just
your moments, but
oh,
I think knowledge is key. So
yeah, definitely.
having the sort of the why, it doesn't always
Mm.
mean action, but at least you've got that like, I know I shouldn't be doing it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than
Yeah,
like, I'm
definitely.
oblivious to if you know, okay, actually I gotta feed my gut and this is why I need to get my vegetables. So I will make the effort to make a salad or
Yep.
whatever, or maybe eat leftovers. So if you find you're short changed on on time is just the reason to put that effort in. And that's what my driver is. I'm like, God, I gotta look after my body because you know what? Especially from a bug side of thing. I mean, we have more bugs on us than we do our own human cells. So you actually like if you keep the host healthy, your bugs will be healthy too.
That makes so much sense. It truly does. So you've already mentioned some practice steps. So you've talked about protein and food, types of food. Is there any other simple practical steps that we can use to implement what you've talked about? So maybe, so you've kind of already talked about stabilizing blood sugars with protein. Um, Maybe could you give us just a couple of examples about how we could implement what you've just talked about there with blood sugar, caffeine, digestion type things?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just come back quickly before I forget that. Like,
Mm.
and like we can discuss that too if you want as well, a pre-bed
Mm.
routine. But
Mm.
from I always think that's always important as well
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a strategy. That would be always like also the thing to do. And I'm sure like I'm dying to hear what you think as well with your pre-bed routine, but I'm very much from a practical point of view is just start dimming the lights,
Hmm.
So while yes, it's really good to have a healthy diet and have, good stable blood sugar levels and get your protein portions right and diet's important. Oh, also hydration.
Yeah.
So being dehydrated is not optimal, and sometimes then your body wants to, it's like thirsty, so it'll also wake you up
Okay.
if it's feeling in a dehydrated state. So yeah, making sure that we're drinking enough. Oh, interesting, actually on the water part, drink enough water. I have to tell my dad this all the time because he drinks like 2 liters at night and about from 5 o'clock onwards. I'm like, Dad, no. And then he's up all through the night and he's like, oh, water keeps me up at night. I'm like, well, it does if you drink it really late at night, but drink it during the day and then not, cut off time, dinner time.
Mm,
So, oh, the other thing, yeah, from another practical, so water as well is another little
mm.
one. And I've just lost my train of thought there. I was getting very excited. Water. What else was I going to say?
Pre-bedtime routines, dimming the lights.
Yes.
There's so much that you could talk about. Like it just
There
goes
is.
on and on, doesn't it?
Um, or maybe it will come
That's all
back to
right.
me.
Oh,
Okay, so
yeah, I can talk about my bedtime. It's funny. I think the bedtime ritual is really important. And for us, we actually have dinner quite early. So for Willow and I, we have dinner
oh,
4:35-ish
thank
because
you. Thank
you
you.
got it?
You
Okay,
jogged my
good.
brain.
Come back to you.
Okay, I'll better save it. It's yes, not eating late. So the other
Yes.
issue that I
Oh, good.
see all the time is people picking after dinner.
Mm,
And it's not just after dinner, that would kind of be okay. I mean,
mm,
might put you over your calorie balance, but and look, it depends what you're eating after dinner. But still, you want to give yourself 3 hours before you go to bed. So quite often people go, oh, well, I eat dinner with the kids at 6, and then at 8 o'clock they're eating something again, which then, come 9 or 9:30, they want to go to bed, but you'll struggle to get to sleep or you just won't sleep well because your body's actually going, well, I'm trying to digest food here. Why are you trying? I don't
mm,
want to go to sleep just yet. So
mm,
yes, not eating late and definitely not eating sugar after dinner. Huge
mm,
one. The ice cream comes out and all the all the chocolate biscuits with a
mm,
cup of tea or something like that. So if you have to, I mean, I would say just don't even have that in the house. But
mm,
if you're gonna eat anything, eat it straight after dinner, or within half an hour, and then basically brush your teeth. That is it. Give yourself
mm,
sort of 2 to 3 hours to digest it. And even if you're a bit peckish, it's just have like a herbal tea or something, brush your teeth and just go to bed feeling a little bit light. I mean, obviously if you're starving, it's probably you might struggle to fall asleep too, but
mm,
sometimes hunger can just it can just disappear, and again, sometimes like something that's like a herbal tea or something, a bit
mm,
of flavor can help with that. But
mm,
yeah, do not eat. Um, and if some people also say, oh look, well I've got volleyball practice, or I've got something on. I'm only getting it home at 8 o'clock. Just have a light meal. I would tend to say eat before you go, but otherwise, scrambled eggs, a smoothie, with not too much fruit in it, obviously. But yeah, so that would be
mm,
my a few things without yeah, but coming back to sleep routine, yes. I mean, like I've got the lights full blown on at the moment and I'm not tired. You know what I mean? So like
mm,
if
mm,
you and often this is the problem with our kids too. We try and get our kids, to bed early, but they've been running around in lights like this.
mm,
And then they wonder why, oh, my child just doesn't want to sleep or takes them ages to go to sleep. It's just because we haven't given them an hour of dim light to
mm,
actually start producing that melatonin as well. Because obviously, it affects your eyes with the light.
mm,
So definitely dim the lights, get off your phones. And yeah, if I was gonna say that would be probably, I mean, then my favorite one is stretching, but I think I'm gonna leave that over to you. And yeah, is there any more? And obviously, like anybody who's watching this, you can definitely oh, I should probably say because somebody will always say, oh, what supplements do you recommend if there's some issues going on there?
Oh, with sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a high quality magnesium is really good. Like I just feel like magnesium, if you're a busy mom, magnesium is crucial. And
Mm,
I've got some really good like I can post um some supplements, but like things like
mm,
ashwagandha can be fantastic.
mm,
And yeah, there's quite Rhodelia. there's quite a few good like stress combinations, but
Mhm.
definitely a good strong magnesium is a way to go that just helps relax the muscles and the
Mm.
body too. But
Nice
yeah,
Epsom salt bath. Awesome.
that's right. Well, I'm going to jump to you, Nikki, because I feel like I've been doing all the talking here. Um, what do you think is the most common causes of pain in women in their 40s?
Yeah, so it's a really, I was thinking about this the other day. It's a very deep question. So I mean, there's hormonal issues, which we'll talk about another time, I think. We talked about poor sleep quality, and it's a vicious cycle with pain. So obviously, as a physio, we deal with pain most of the time. We actually have pain specialists as well, which I'm not one of those, but I do treat pain patients. So I think you've already hit on it with kids, with toddlers waking you in the night. For us, we will see something like the breastfeeding mum or the bed sharing mum or, the one that gets up for toddlers a lot. And if they have an injury, that lack of sleep just affects their healing. It just limits, I think, the production of growth hormones, which you'll be able to dive on another session as well. But that will delay and decrease your healing, basically. So, lifting kids is a big thing for us. We see a lot of lumbar issues, a lot of lower back issues with lifting kids. We see a lot of chest and upper back issues and neck issues with poor posture from breastfeeding or carrying. That's a really common one for us. A lot of shoulder issues, because as soon as we do anything up here, it just affects our whole body. So, any of these, of course, can be quite inflammatory, and inflammation can cause more pain at night. So, it's like a really vicious circle.
Mm,
Um, Often people too get back to fitness too soon, I feel, and there's too much pressure for women to return to a pre-baby state, and that's just, I'm so anti that. So we get a little bit of that. So the other thing too that we need to think about as we are aging are things like autoimmune diseases or disorders, especially ones from my perspective that affect the spine. We see quite a few of them, and they do start to kind of kick in around late 30s, 40s. So that's something that we have to look out for, are red flags. So they would be pain at night in particular, and pain that doesn't ease with rest. So I'll jump straight into what I would do though. So if somebody came to me, they had upper back or neck pain and they had a young baby or toddler that they were breastfeeding, straight away it comes to stretching. We want to open up. So if you think about everything you do as a mum is in front of you, if you're
yeah,
holding a baby, if you're breastfeeding,
totally.
shoulders come forward, head comes forward, everything just throws out of whack. So this is huge. So we do a lot of chest releasing, and I feel the stretches that I'll talk about just briefly tonight are so good to do just before bed. They Even just being in bed and lying flat is just so good for you. So stretching the chest and upper back, and again, I won't give too many examples tonight, but if anybody watching this has any questions, I'll just send through.
Well, I
Carrying
thought we
children.
do a little booklet. I've got a little booklet for people, so
Oh,
we can
perfect.
add that
Yeah,
to it and
great.
just put
That'd be
some of those
so cool because I think
exercises.
it's yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, even if you don't have a kid, all of us are in front of
Yeah.
us. All of the work that we do is sitting, driving, working. Even me as a physio, it's all in front. We're not up and out like we should be. So, carrying children will lead to lower back pain. Lifting up children leads to lower back pain. Cots do my head in. The fact that you have to lean over to pick up your baby, or toddler and then lift them out of a cot. I
Oh,
mean, most of the
really?
time, our core isn't that strong, postpartum, and not for years, not unless you're targeting it. So we do a lot of glute stretches, so butt stretches to relieve back pain, hip flexor stretches, so just in front of the thigh there, they get really tight, and the tighter they get, the more we increase back pain. So it's like a real catalyst, a real yeah, development. They all kind of link into one. Another common thing that we see with mums is patellofemoral pain, so knee pain
Oh,
that comes
true.
on from weakness in our glutes, weakness in our lateral quads that just pulls that kneecap. And if you are running around after kids and you're not able to spend the time or you don't have the time. I mean, I personally don't have much time as a single mum. I can't get to the gym as often as I'd love to. All of those things kind of just creep up on us, and we have to actually do a lot of work to correct all these imbalances that happen postpartum, prepartum. Women, we have wider hips. We're going to get these problems anyway, so we actually really need to jump on it. And I think too, once you've had children, all of these little subtle things and going into menopause is huge. We start to see the development of all these things that have been lingering, kind of developing, and then suddenly they just hit home and it sucks. It hurts. Injuries hurt. So yeah, again, it all comes down to strengthening and stretching. And for me personally, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune spine, so I do a lot of gentle mobility before bed. So for me, nighttime is quite painful, the morning is quite painful. So I try to do your basic stretches. Like I don't do yoga, it actually hurts. Some people can't do yoga, it's just the different types of yoga. There's heaps of different types. But if you focus on your basic stretches, stuff that we did as kids when we played netball or whatever, like your calf muscles, your thigh, your
Mm.
hamstring around the back, your butt, your hip, your chest. Like, honestly, if we just all focus on those and holding the stretch for 30 seconds, doing it once or twice before bed, maybe foam rolling if you are gentle and can do it if you've got one, those kind of things are just huge. But at the end of the day, if you've got pain, you need a diagnosis. So you must see someone, whether it's a physio, a chiropractor, an osteopath, GP. I think it's really, really important. But again, just remembering that if you have an injury and you have pain, that's going to interfere with your sleep. And therefore, you're actually going to potentially have more pain. It really does heighten your sensitivity
Mm.
to pain if you do not get sleep. So that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about. I think in real brief, it's, you know, pain is so limiting for so many people. As parents, as mums in particular, we do put ourselves last. But what I've learnt probably just recently, you really have to put yourself high on that list. You have to sort your body out, you have to sort your nutrition out, you have to sort your health out if you want to, A, be a really good role model to your children, and
Totally.
show them how empowering it is to actually put yourself first. To teach them how to do that too is really vital. But you have to sort your pain because I don't know about you guys, but I actually want to be a really, really active mum and be around for my kids when, or my child when she's older. And I will do anything that I can for my health to make sure I can be that parent. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pain and physio.
No, I so agree. I try to do, I go into a routine of just well doing morning stretches, like just a few
Okay.
like
Yeah,
morning stretches because yeah, normally you scrunch out sleeping.
totally.
And then definitely part of the evening routine, not watching TV, actually just
Yeah,
focusing on the body and stretching it out. And I sleep like a baby when I do that. Because quite
yeah.
often, I mean, I wouldn't say I've got like too tight muscles, but I definitely notice that when I stretch out my IT band, actually,
Hmm.
I did have a moment, like I think last week, where I just woke up and I couldn't realize why I felt anxious.
Mm.
And I actually got up at midnight and did my stretches because I didn't do them. And all of a sudden, I felt totally relaxed. It's amazing when you just relax those muscles.
Yeah.
But I do really, I want to make sure that everybody's time, we're going to finish on time as well.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yes.
just want to say, like Nikki, you're a wealth of knowledge, and
Oh,
I'm so
thank
excited
you.
about the rest of this series. We're
Same.
going to see you guys next week. So see the I've got you on the email list now, and you should be able to, yeah, you'll get the emails from us. But thank you so much for watching and hope you took some good nuggets. And you
Yeah,
can
thank you. Thank
just email
you.
us
Thank
as
you.
well.
Awesome. All right. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Okay, bye.